Go ahead, watch one. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of current. Actually, if you just give me a second, I'll get this sample in the box and then I'll do a little current test. We can do a little current test. Clear?
Port inner. You clear by it?
Clear.
Okay. First sample of the cruise. Shut down.
Okay. Okay, if you can follow me over on Mini Zeus so I can stow the arm properly. Cool. All right,
Okay.
thanks, Andy.
We've made our first collection of this sponge that seems to be the dominant species on this feature that we're on now.
Thanks, Levi. So I think...
and Shirley Pomponi said that this is probably a fairly common sponge.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay. Understood.
Right. Center you up and then take my camera back. My monitor back.
Looks like there's also a yellow sponge just in the upper right. We might want to take a peek at
Stand by on your move. So
soon
I can
after.
Monitor back up.
It was directly underneath me, right?
I don't know. But I just need to put down.
Jason Chater had asked whether whether the pilots were noticing much of a current here, and they said yes, they were, and they're going to give us an idea of the current speed soon.
Yeah, so watch leads. We'll go ahead and make this collection, and then we have a method to give us a good estimate of what the current is, so we'll do that right after we make the collection.
Great, thank you, pilot.
But there is definitely a current. It felt like it was coming from roughly north to south.
Yeah, that's what I feel. I can see the tether blowing.
Which is what we would expect at this depth, because that's the western undercurrent that goes in the absolute opposite direction of the Gulf Stream. So later on our dives will be in the Gulf Stream, and those are going to be a bit challenging because the Gulf Stream currents are going to be even stronger than this is.
Oh, yeah.
It was just when maybe the stern thrusters are ramping up.
Yeah, we are certainly in the depth range of the western boundary undercurrent. It follows fairly slowly compared to the Gulf, quite slowly compared to the Gulf Stream, but it seems to be a persistent current and ranges maybe from 1,000 meters depth all the way down to seafloor depths of, I've seen estimates of 5,000 meters, so it's a persistent flow. These organisms need that kind of current in order to survive, don't they?
ROV bridge,
yeah,
go ahead.
That's how they have food delivered. So
I just wanted to confirm with all the watch changes down here and up there that our bailout is still set to the southeast.
Video, can you zoom out?
That is what I have on my
Zeus?
sheet, southeast.
Good copy, thanks.
Yeah, can you zoom out video on my main HD on Zeus? Trying to see how close I am here. Okay, watch lead. This is the one you wanted a piece of. Is that correct? All right, we have hydraulics up now.
There you are.
Pilot.
What box are you going for?
It's pretty small. We can probably do starboard inner.
We're setting up to take a small sample of this Paragorgia coral that we were zooming on earlier. I don't think that there's a lot of samples of these to be had, so that's an exciting coral, and there are different genera. So we can, by making this collection, we can be sure what it is and whether it fits into anything that's known. And if there is an ophiuroid starfish on this, that would be a great bonus.
All right, so you're ready with the starboard drawer, Andy?
It's ready.
Copy.
Check out your mini.
Yeah.
For anyone who's just joining us, we are diving on the Blake Escarpment off of the Blake Plateau, and we've been we saw a lot of sedimented habitat in the first few hours of the dive, and now we've reached an area that has some rocky outcrops, and there are many, many sponges of at least 3 species that we've seen so far, and a couple of corals. So really nice habitat, and we're making this collection of this coral because this is the only one that we've seen. This will help the scientists get a proper ID. Yeah, in the chat room, Les Watling noted that it looks like this coral might have fallen off of one of these rocks close by, since it's laying down on the sediment, which is not the usual position that a coral would want to grow in. But it is pretty amazing that even though it's laying in the sediment, it still appears fairly healthy, and it still appears to be growing.
And then crush it, maybe come down and twist it, try and grab it. Just because it's difficult to get the cutters in there.
Yep. You can always pick it and just stuff it in the box.
All right, you can bring that.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Want me to follow you down?
Yeah.
Go. Clear?
Yeah.
Good job, Levi.
Thanks.
Been a while, huh?
Yeah. First I tried to cut it, but
Yeah.
didn't need to. Starboard inner, yep. Yep. You can take your camera back if you wanted.
Okay, I'll center you up. I'm going to come back around and line back up on those sponges.
That's good. All right, Dan, I'm going off stick for a second if you want to look at fins.
Sure. About 0.2 knots currently.
Copy that.
And it's roughly, it's pretty much north to south,
Yeah,
right? Almost
agree.
exactly.
Yeah, watch lead. We got about 0.2 knots from the north to the south of current. Yep.
So the current is about 0.2 knots from the north to the south.
We'll continue on.
All right. So we should maybe put a move
You
in.
have a fish to your starboard coming into view right underneath your skid there.
Oh, yeah.
So high pack is showing about a 030.
There you come in
to
partial.
1.3. And which direction is the trail of sponges, Andy?
That looks like Anti-Mora,
I'm looking at 880 right now.
I got
the fish. that
080.
he's speaking of.
Yeah, and it goes off into the distance a little bit to port there.
Beautiful eye
Okay.
color.
So this will move on the other side of it.
So if we were to move it
If you move it
080,
080, I can turn and look
Sure.
at it as we go along.
okay, we can do that. We can do 30 meters
All right, let's let the fish go.
at 0. You want to just make it 085?
Sure.
All right, video, you can come wide.
You ready for that move,
So
pilot?
Andrea Quattrini
Take a
just
few minutes
mentioned
to
that fish that we were seeing, the black
catch up
fish,
to you.
is
I can head
Anti-Mora.
that way.
That's what I said.
Okay, so we're going to put in a move at
And
085.
Stephanie knew it
and
also.
then you'll just continue
Don't
following
ask me the
trail of
species.
sponges.
Got copies.
Bridge, this is ROV nav.
Anti-Mora rostrata.
ROV nav bridge.
Thanks
Go
very
ahead.
much,
Yeah,
Andrea.
we'd like a ship move, please.
Roger.
30 meters, that's 30 meters, bearing 085 at speed decimal 2.
30 at 085.2. Got it.
Good copy, thanks.
So this more yellow-green color sponge, that would be a different one than we've seen so far, correct?
Video come in.
So the fish that we saw has also been seen fairly common on the New England seamounts.
This yellow-green sponge looks very similar to something that we would see pretty frequently on the New England seamounts.
There's a little hermit crab on the left clinging on to the sponge.
Oh yeah, tiny. It's amazing how good these cameras are.
Yeah.
You see why we call our kitchen sponges sponges.
Yeah, it does look like
Take-
one you could
you
buy
guys
at the
called
grocery
move in,
store.
Is that correct?
That's correct. 30 meters at 085.
Understood.
me? Does it have to have those brackets? I think
Okay,
it just
video,
had
you can come wide when you're good.
Maybe try it without those.
Another fish floating around.
Yeah, coming up. We're moving down this trail of sponges.
So I just want to pose the situation in which the ship loses propulsion. We start drifting. We've got about 0.8 knots of current going toward the southwest. Wind is pretty light coming out of the southwest, so I think we'd end up
What
drifting
species of cans
more
are
or
those?
less south.
Looks like Coke, maybe.
So if
It
we
looks
were to
like
lose
Coke.
ship
I think
propulsion,
we need to send that to the manufacturers.
And Pabst
what
Blue Ribbon
would you guys do?
on the left.
Do we still have ROV power?
Yes.
Come up.
So the yellow-orange sponge that we were just looking
Push
at
out.
might be
Let's see.
Hertwiggia.
Push to the north.
I would try to zero the turns and then come up.
I could rotate.
Okay, good. Good.
And Sandra Brooke also agrees that
Yeah,
they've
so
seen
steer
Hertwiggia
towards the
before
right.
in the southeast U.S.
Yeah, I could turn starboard and
We get into streaming formation. I get
Still
off
have-
bottom
yeah.
and get the tether tight between his tail to tail as quick as possible,
I agree.
safely.
Pretty much just
Come on.
turn Sirius to the south.
Yeah.
D2's already facing their direction,
Yeah.
and you guys would just come up together in tow formation.
Yeah.
But there's still debate about that sponge, and Shirley Pomponi said it looks like a
Yeah.
demo sponge and not Hertwiggia,
You're getting off my
encrusting
side
on
there.
a hexactinellid sponge.
And we are moving.
Well, you were talking about turning to follow the trail of sponges, right? So that we purposefully made that track a little bit off of the trail so that you could turn to port as you move and keep them in view, right?
Copy that.
Just keep an eye on your sonar, though it's pretty flat.
Video, come in partial. Watch, see if you see
Yep.
anything here. Let me know.
There's a sea star in the background.
Oh, there it
We
is.
see more marine debris, unfortunately. It looks like on the
Only
left
about
there's
5
a
meters left in that
glass
Andy.
sponge that's
Okay.
not alive. It's brown colored. And then we have two of the sponges. It's Ficalia, maybe the
Definitely
type
come
that
down
we
in altitude a bit at this
collected previously, just a little while ago.
separation.
There's a little bit of a green sponge on the bottom right corner.
Do you come in, snap on this?
I can't quite see that stock that's in the back between the
RV
sponges.
nav bridge
Cheryl, can you
move is
see that more
just about
closely?
complete here.
Copy bridge, thank you.
We just zoomed on a Chrysogorgid, or two of them actually.
Yep, I see the Chrysogorgia.
Chrysogorgia.
It's the like white corals on the
And
other side of
which
it.
Looks
thing?
to
Yeah.
be different from the taller one that we imaged earlier.
Get
The
you,
branching
get you
pattern
on
doesn't look
video
quite the
now.
same.
Huh. And it does have a little
All right.
associate in there, if that was a
Should be
shrimp,
more stable
maybe.
here, video.
Yeah, that looks great.
So you might swing for a few minutes, Andy, and then
Yeah, shrimp or an
say
amphipod
what?
or
I'll
a
try to hold here.
mysid
ship is stopped.
possum
Probably
shrimp
about a 4
possibly.
minute swing.
Okay.
Yep, one's full zoom.
It
Okay.
looks more amphipod to me. Or mysid.
Just gonna give it one bump.
I think video's clear whenever science is.
Okay. You can come wide.
All right.
And notice the little pile of pteropod shells, etc., in this depression between the rocks.
There's also
Cheryl, that thing I was asking about is the one that's on the left side between the two sponges on the back of the rock.
Okay. Yeah.
there's also a sea star we might want to investigate after this.
Go ahead, watch one. Yeah. Okay, video coming partial. And coming all the way. Is this it?
Doesn't appear too lively anymore, but
Yeah, I agree.
it's interesting that there's
being overgrown with hydroids and
yeah, and it looks like a hermit crab maybe hanging in there.
Yeah, video if you see something you want me to look at.
Okay, thanks. And I'm not sure if there's another skeleton coming up here. Kind of looks from a distance like a dead metallic gorgia.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
I think I can use that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think he's expecting this one to be alive. We can, yeah. Let me hop over to that. Sea star. Absolutely watch lead.
Yeah, whatever this is, it does not look very healthy.
Coming partial.
But there is a brittle star on it. And maybe another hermit crab.
Can zoom out, Will.
On the stalk.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a little bit that's alive up there at the tip.
You can see the sort of flash of gold in there, so it's something in the Chrysogorgiidae. So it could be a very large, old, dead Chrysogorgia. It's probably what it is. Maybe a Metallogorgia, but if that's the case, I would sure like to see some of those alive.
Center you back up as it blows in the current.
And I think the octocoral polyps that you're seeing there, those larger transparent polyps, that is not part of the original colony. I think that's an overgrowth of a stoloniferan or something.
Oh, okay.
I say that because those polyps look too large for Chrysogorgia polyps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, video, I think when you're clear.
Yep.
We're clear. Go to the star. Is that lighting okay, video?
Yeah, it's good.
Come in.
Too bad Chris Ma doesn't seem to be around today because I'm sure he would be excited about this sea star.
We got lasers on it to start, and then we can turn the lasers off, I guess.
Is this perhaps a goniasterid?
Video, is that okay?
Yeah,
with lasers?
clear.
Copy that.
I've seen them before, but I can't remember if that's correct.
You can come
Is
in
anyone
video.
out there
Try to fill it for
sea
you
star
here.
expert? We don't have Chris.
I'm wondering if this is one of the Evoplosoma. That's a genus name. And Les Watling was saying earlier that Paragorgia bubblegum coral that had tipped over was kind of lucky that there's no Evoplosoma around.
Oh.
That might
Maybe
so
he's...
this could be, in fact, I'm pretty certain this is one of the sea stars that feeds on coral.
Well, he might be making his way over there, so.
You can see the eye spots at the ends of the arms.
There's eyes at the ends of the arm?
Nice shot of the tube feet.
No way.
Like some sort of sensing thing.
Okay. That's cool. I didn't know that.
I think video is clear.
Copy that. Can zoom out.
Beautiful video.
Clear.
Full wide.
Great.
It's interesting that it appears that these sponges just keep on going as we move down this rock feature. Kind of following a ridge or the top of this feature now, where there's more exposed rock.
Yeah, we're certainly finding more sponges than I expected. I wouldn't know, but I was under the impression that this might be more of a coral habitat than a sponge habitat.
Got a little bit of tether, I think.
Is that uncommon for sponges to dominate?
I wanted to catch, kind of cup the bottom of this. and then paint a stripe
I
up.
think the sponges are more common where the currents are a little bit lower, is my impression. Not 100% certain of that. But very often I know some of the work that we've done out here in the Atlantic, further north in the New England seamounts, and then the canyons going down towards Bahamas, we certainly see them intermingled. And on some surfaces, the coral's dominant, and then on other surfaces, the sponges become dominant.
Oh, wow, look at that, a pycnogonid.
Nice, good call.
That's awesome.
You can see it.
Pycnogonid in front of the black coral stauropathes.
Stauropathes,
I'm trying to
right.
get you closer here.
Then we have a little squat lobster on the lower left and a hermit crab on, I think that was a sponge in the center there. It doesn't look very lively anymore.
And I can't tell for certain, but that might be a lithistid sponge that is just to the front left of that, side of that, or an anemone to the left of the sea spider.
And Shirley Pomponi has added that it's a geodea, and she's not sure which species it is. And she said to get a good photo for her.
Watch, Lee, this is Nav.
That's a great close-up.
That's awesome.
I just want to let you know that we have traveled another 100 meters. We have about 150 meters to go to waypoint 3.
So many of the pycnogonid sea spiders are specialist predators of cnidarian polyps. So I see there's a bunch of polyps that are maybe overgrowing the sponge. So I wonder if it might be looking for those. See, it's got the shiny yellow parts are where the eye spots would be arising from just below that. You see that long tube. It actually has a mouth that it can create suction.
We just dropped to 27%.
So the mouth is essentially on the end of that tube.
Let's try spinning
It can
around.
suck out the contents of wherever it sticks that proboscis tube.
Pretty happy with this.
Okay, I'll try to hold this then.
So we just got a notification from Nav that we've moved another 100 meters, so 300 meters total since we hit the bottom. And we have 2.5 hours or so left, so we'll likely be able to complete our planned dive track.
So.
Right, I think video's clear.
It'll give us a little more time also to take a few more samples and maybe attempt another rock sample higher up on this ridge. We'll look for a likely candidate.
When did I? Yeah.
It just dropped
And
to 27.
Tara
I've been
Luke
watching
said
it real
that
closely.
Chris Mall has
Figure out the time
suggested
on
that it's Suriaster, possibly
3%
Suriaster
now.
americanus that we were looking at just
Pressure's
a little bit
lower
ago.
now.
That sea star.
Right. So it should be slower.
And I believe that was seen, at least that genus was in the Gulf of Mexico. I remember seeing a photograph of that. Maybe Tara can confirm that. Suriaster.
Watch lead, was there anything else in this field of view
Circe,
you wanted to see a close-up of?
There's a black spiky thing in the upper right next to the hedgehog sponge.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to see it, but
Yeah. Go ahead, watch one. Yes, we could poke one of these here. Or any of these rocks on the ground. What you want, I guess? Or is there specific? Could we get lasers on Copilot? Understood.
We're going to attempt another rock collection. This time we're going to use the scoop instead of the manipulator claw. And maybe that way we won't crush it and we can get it intact to the surface. If you were not viewing earlier, we tried to get one of these types of small slabs and just kind of disaggregated in the claws and indicating that it's not fully lithified material, meaning that it isn't fully cemented together grains. Instead, these are highly indurated, highly compacted, and they are solid, I guess you would still call them, but they're not strongly lithified and cemented together. And but it did give us a close-up view of the fresh exposed surface from a broken piece, and did not look anything like what we see on the surface here. Instead of this black, almost shiny, sometimes reddish brown, like iron oxide crust we see, the broken fresh surface looked just like the sediments surrounding them, and so these appear to be compacted sediments from being buried, and now they're exposed, and those exposed surfaces
auto heading. I changed my auto
have
heading
had
set point.
precipitation, in some cases very thick precipitation
Let me know
of
if you
these
see it a little bit
manganese
more,
and
though. I tried to
iron
dig my left
oxides
toe in,
from
right
the
toe
seawater.
I'll
So
watch it. You want the other camera up?
Yeah.
sort of crystallized or mineralized, I should say, on top
So I'm
of these
thinking
layers.
Dan, that one right there.
So we're going to try to
Scoop right to
scoop
left.
one up.
They want to.
Yep.
Want to scoop it.
We'll put
'Cause
the
of
other
it.
arm out there, and you can scoop into it.
So watch, if this rock is kind of disintegrating, do you still want to put it in a rock box and risk that it falls apart on the way up, or dump it in a bio box? And I don't really want to foul those other samples, but
I guess I will leave that to the biologists if they would mind a rock in their box, since it's all from the same habitat.
okay.
Should be okay, I think, but I'll leave that to the folks online.
Might poke it first. See how
So I'm sorry, Leslie, are you asking
Yeah,
because you want to collect a rock with some biology on it?
No, the question would be, because it disaggregates, should we put it into the bio box so that it survives
Put it into the port bio
the
there, you need to
rise
open
to the
it.
surface?
Yeah.
If we put it in a rock box, it'll probably just sieve away and
rock
filter
box.
through the box.
If you do that,
So the
understood.
question would be, if we put it in a bio box,
the other one, that's
would it
it's on
be
you.
contaminating other organisms? We could put it in one that we've already collected for a future collection.
Right.
I mean, it's in the
Yeah,
same
well,
environment
it all
anyway,
depends on
so
whether there's something on the rock that we don't see and how big the rock is. If it's a big rock, I would not
Good
advise
size.
putting it in.
no, not
on top of
not a big one, just a
anything
chunk,
that's already
because
in
I
the
don't think we're
bio
going to get a big one.
But if, as you say, it's
Oh,
going to
I think that's
disaggregate,
bigger
then
than
the
a
only way
scoop.
to get it up is
What if
to
I-
use the
what if I
bio box,
cradle
then
it?
go ahead.
Just put it in a rock box.
I think it's your better bet. I don't know if the scoop
Okay.
is going to work.
Yeah, watch Lee. Talking to my navigator, we're thinking maybe not use the scoop. This one
Certainly
seems a
we
little
can
bit more
collect something
rigid.
later and put it on top of the rock.
We might be able to get this one in a rock box. And it does seem more rigid, so maybe it won't fall apart.
Okay, if we can do it, that's the best. Then we don't
Okay.
have to worry about contamination.
Yeah, I think that's
Hopefully
worth a
some
try.
of it will survive.
Yeah. Go ahead and bring port wing inboard, and I'll open it up.
Okay.
Sound good?
Stay clear if you want to come in.
Thanks for your input, Scott. Hopefully we won't need a bio box. No. Yes. Yes.
Air Force 5 is going to kill it.
Oh yeah, I'd go to 2 for sure.
Let's see what 2 looks like here. Get a feel for it. Okay.
Even then, just feather it in. You should be good.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Thanks.
Great. You got to close the box.
No, I'm wondering if you actually extend the Jura touch and you're away from the base of the shilling and then just close it It would close on the wrist. You can, this is good practice anyway, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Extend the jaw just like an inch, and then bring the wing back outboard, and I bet the box would close by itself.
What's it going to hit on?
The wrist.
That's far. Okay, maybe.
I think that's why
it's a tighter angle in that angle there that it opened on you.
It's possible.
But yeah, we can try it.
We've been on this part of our dive, this location, for quite a while. It's been very interesting. It is the relatively steep slope of this area called the Blake Escarpment. I'm sure there are steeper locations, but on the dive, this is as steep as we get. It's about 14
That's
degrees.
where I was going to crush it.
We began our dive on a very flat stretch of sediments that had several different organisms inhabiting that area. We took some great video and still shots. Didn't take any samples down there, but then we encountered this area that has outcropping rock. And as soon as we saw the rock, we started seeing these communities of sponges and corals and all the organisms that like to live nearby. Not too many fish. We've seen a few. Sadly, we've seen some marine debris. There's another piece in the distance.
Settling out here.
Looks like another nice bubblegum coral paragorgia. This one growing upright.
Let me get just a little more steady, and then I'll let you come in with our video.
As we often see, it has
you can come in.
An ophiuroid in its branches. You can see those sort of pink arms that are coiled among the branches. And I'm not sure if the yellow is that possibly a zoanthid, which is a colonial anemone overgrowing the branches on the left side. So those are considered essentially a parasitic form of cnidarian, and they can overgrow many other corals and sponges.
Maybe check out the bottom. Copa, you want to get the fog lights?
Sure.
We're going to change lighting video on you.
All right.
All right, video, here it goes.
Okay. If that's,
bam.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but these are the, I call them the fog lights.
All right. So, generally, we'll have it a little bit closer.
Okay.
When we use those, but I mean,
there's another coral also at the base foreground to the right of that bubblegum coral.
They make it better or worse video. We can always turn them off.
If it was a chrysogorgid or a bamboo coral, you can just see its white tips at the base.
I think they want to tilt down to the coral just in the foreground.
It looks like there are a couple of clusters of yellow zoanthid polyps overgrowing this really pretty bubblegum coral.
Do you think you're going to want to move, Andy?
There we go. That's a chrysogorgid colony. It looks like it's maybe seen some better days. It's missing polyps from the top center, but you can see the branches off to either side.
Middle sounds good.
So we're seeing several of the species from the family Chrysogorgiidae, the golden corals. Thank you.
All right, I think video's clear.
Okay, that's good. You can turn those lights off. Thanks, Andy.
Coming up.
Yeah, I haven't tried those before, so.
Yeah, it's closer than you'd think. It's like right in between the feet.
Between the toes.
Yeah.
It did add an interesting fill to that one.
That one did?
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see more
Plenty
detail
of
in the
specs for you
sponge.
guys to kill.
Might be a little more backscatter, but the water's not very turbid.
What's that right there you're looking at?
The garbage.
Is that garbage?
Yeah.
Rust, or is it a dead?
I think it's metal. Trash. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Thanks, Dan. All right. I'm going 15. I'll look to the starboard. It seems to be kind of going, oh man. Yeah. Could probably call moving if you wanted one.
Okay, we're looking at, after he's in here, we're looking at 30 meters bearing 030. As soon as the announcement's over, I'll call it.
All right.
Bridge, this is ROV Nav.
Stand by.
Standing by.
We were just informed if anyone needs to swim to shore, it's 121 nautical miles to Cape Fear.
All right. Video can come in partial.
All right.
See what this is.
Looks like a baby sponge.
Yeah.
And we have another squat lobster at the base of what looks like a dead glass sponge. Looks like an ice cream cone filled up with ice cream.
There's a nice pencil urchin over on the right
Come in.
of the rock
Yeah.
with much longer spines.
Hey, Andy.
I don't know if that's considered
You
a
want-
pencil
you want in?
urchin or not, but
Right.
it's certainly an urchin.
You enough time?
Yes, Sideris is
Why
the
don't- why don't-
genus that I'm
well,
familiar
why
with
don't you
with
finish
pencil
up the
urchins.
shift today?
How much we got left?
Okay.
Only like, yeah, half an hour.
Oh, okay. You can come wide video when you're clear.
Just because this is you weren't on the last cruise.
ROV, go ahead. This is the bridge.
Dan, I think you called me and meant to call you, Bridget.
Oh, gotcha. Bridge, this is Nav. Go ahead.
Yep, I've got a moment now. I was a little busy a second ago.
No problem. We'd like a ship move.
Okay.
30 meters. That's 30 meters, bearing 030, speed decimal 2.
That is 30 at 030.2.
That's correct.
Got it.
Most of these rocks seem to be very, very similar
We'll
in
come
their
partial.
shape. You know, they're all pretty tabular. They all have this iron manganese oxide.
I think they're aware of the problem with the air conditioning.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Going back to
The AC's vents full open.
Okay.
That one is.
the pencil urchin that we saw, Sandra Brooks suggested it could be Stylosideris as the genus. And then going back to the Paragorgia bubblegum coral and the zoanthids that were growing on it, Andrew Quattrini suggested that it could be I'm going to murder this word, but Bulagummazoanthus. And species Emily acadarum, something like that. Sorry if I murdered that.
A little fish behind you.
That's a cool
Wow,
looking
look
one.
at that sponge.
It's on your tail.
Copy. Maybe he'll come out in front of me. I'm going to try to get closer for you, video.
Sounds good.
Try to keep this angle on it, though. That way we can get a profile of it. Maybe.
Now the Okeanos, secure for drill, feed off further boundaries.
All right, video coming partial.
All right.
We're going to spin around it.
I'm not sure if Shirley's still around, but this looks like a different sponge
Can we
species.
tilt the lasers?
Absolutely. Go pilot. Kill lasers.
And might that be a little tiny bamboo coral at the base?
Come in, video on that bamboo. I'm trying to where
And
they
there's
looking?
a squat lobster in the background. on the rock. Ooh, some more squat lobsters and a hermit crab on the, or maybe those are both hermit crabs. Can't see the back one very well. Wow, that's beautiful.
Come on up.
Looks like a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. It's beautiful.
Watch lead, was there any other specimens in this field of view that you wanted to see close up of, or? I'll give you there's a, okay, yeah, keep moving then. Videos or
Nope,
any additional?
I think we're good.
Understood.
He came around. If you want to see him.
Yeah, there is a fish over here. I can try to grab. Oh, he's looking away from us. Come in.
Well, we have a
Snap
fish
in.
on the right here. This is looks like the same type that we saw just a little while ago.
Got any more zoom? And we'll let him go.
Oh, there's another maybe tripod fish out
Oh,
there
yeah.
with them.
And another tripod fish.
RV nav bridge, we just lost the generator. I'm coming out of auto.
Copy. All right, guys, that maneuver we talked about earlier,
Yeah,
be prepared for it.
understood.
Pull wide.
Thanks for you.
Just want you guys start coming up.
Yeah. You want to stow my swing arms?
Sure.
Do you want to skin your tail to tail?
Yeah,
Dan,
let's
or-
do it. Yep. If anything, it's good practice.
Yeah.
Chief engineer, call bridge inconvenience. We just lost the generator, lost the generator.
He's going to bring Sue's head down south. And he's going to stay pointing to the north. We're probably going to drift about south. So,
ROV
Yeah,
nav
we're
bridge,
coming
I've I have auto head in, and so we're not taking a load right now, and I still have bridge activity up here.
copy. All right, Andy, you should start turning your head too.
Okay. I won't be able to see.
I got it.
It's interesting how as soon as we
You're
move
gonna have
off
to do it
the
then.
rocky ridge area, we
Just
return
'cause
just
we're going to start getting pulled here
back
pretty
to
soon.
the wide open, flat plain of sediments. Very different habitat.
So we need to get up. Let's get up to a safe altitude.
Even Charlie pushing up.
So I would take out auto heading as well on Sirius.
Delta 20 coming up, pushing out. I see you. You don't see me quite yet
I do not.
because the delta.
So why don't we?
Are we in auto position, Dan, or not?
No, he's got auto head, but no auto position. So
Understood.
we're drifting with the current. So let's come up 50 meters.
Well,
Well,
everybody,
we
you
don't have
probably
tether lock
noticed
either
that we've
yet,
left the
of course.
seafloor,
Watch
and
your,
we're having a
heading,
little bit of
Levi.
trouble with the ship, so we're just coming off to wait
So
it
you're
out and
pushing out
see if we
pretty
can
hard,
fix the
but yeah.
problem, and
There you go,
hopefully
I
we'll
got
be
you.
back on the bottom
Should
soon.
start locking here, and it did.
Standing by.
All right.
Yep. We're going to come up to 50 and hold, so we'll be safe. Copy. Thanks.
50 depth. Dan.
50 altitude. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So if they get everything working again, we can come back down.
Okay.
Make sure you keep that forward way on a little bit.
Yeah, it's hurting my efficiency on the way up.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going too fast. I'm trying not to escape it.
Well, I don't think you need to put too much forward way on, just because we're going to start drifting at 0.7 knots. Right now we're drifting at about 200.
For the long haul, definitely not. Yeah.
So you could even help it out, Andy, a little bit by turning your head to 200, and that's about opposite of where D2 is streaming right now.
I did that, and it just pulled me right back. But yeah, I'll do it again.
Try it again, yeah.
I'll go into auto depth once I reach an altitude of 50.
Sounds good.
It keeps
That
pulling
should,
me right back over that line.
We'll just, yeah, just keep manually holding it there. Just bump it back to that direction once in a while, just so you can keep him in your tail cam. That's the goal here.
You're at 50.
I'm in auto
ROV
depth,
nav.
Andy.
Copy that.
Hi,
I'll
Bobby.
get just a little bit ahead of you, okay?
Yeah.
5 meters or so.
Okay, we're at 50 meters altitude. That'll put us above anything in the area. We'll hold here. Wait for your instruction. Thanks.
Okay.
How far did we move?
So far we've drifted 50 meters.
Understood.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need as much now that we have really good lock and we're starting to move.
For anybody still on the line,
How's the
just
wire?
thought we'd give a little recap of what we've
Wire's
seen
fine.
today. So this site
cam
was one that
ROV
was
nav,
very
bridge.
far from where anybody
Go
has
bridge.
ever.
Yeah, we have 3 generators
laid
again. I'm
eyes
going to
before.
get us back into full auto,
We
and then
didn't
we can
know
work
what
back to where you
expect
need
at
us.
all, but we
Copy,
were hoping that there would be some
sounds
hard
good.
ground.
We'll
that
wait
would
for
be places
word from
for
Bobby to see what he
accessible
wants to do.
animals to
In terms of the vehicle
live,
dive.
and
Thanks.
we did find that after we spent a lot of time traversing across soft sediment, and even the soft sediment had a lot of interesting organisms. We saw lots of tripod fish, we saw some anemones. What else did we see out there?
Lots of brittle stars and
Yes.
sea urchins.
And then when we got to the rocky feature, it was a never-ending run of sponges, and I don't know, 4 or 5 at least
They've got
species of corals in
their
there
generator
also.
back. They're
So it
gonna
was
start easing into auto position.
so far it's been a really great dive, and it's very important
So you'll still
to
keep coming back, so.
have this
watch that.
as kind of ground truthing, because all of the
Yeah, I
other
can swing
ways that we look for
one way
corals,
before we
which
move
is
back, or we
looking
could
at the
go down and then
bathymetry,
move, or-
looking at the slope,
So
looking at the
if the current
backscatter to
is
see
as
if
it is
there's
on the
hard
bottom
surfaces.
and it's moving north to south,
All of
we're in a
those
position
things
where
said that
you
there
might need to
could be
swing
coral
around
here.
as we settle out.
We also
Right.
use
Right now you're north of Sirius.
habitat suitability models, and
Or we just go to the bottom.
those again
and just pretend
suggested that there
it's a
could be
dive.
corals here. So
Well,
the
we'll see what-
information
I
that
don't
we
wanna
get
go
from
back down
this
until Bobby
about
gives
presence
Yeah,
or
yeah.
absence of
Yeah,
corals
understood.
can then be fed back into the habitat
But
suitability
probably keep an eye
models
on
and
the
help
head rock
us
there
Yeah.
while we stop.
refine those so that they'll get better and better over time.
Sorry, what was that?
ROV nav bridge.
And
We
we had
are
hoped
back
to
in full
find,
auto position, and we're standing by for
Congregations
whatever you
of
guys
corals
would like to do
and
next.
sponges
Copy bridge,
on
thank you.
hard bottom areas, or at least areas that had exposure of rock, maybe not completely hard ground, but
So they're back in auto
and
position.
also on the
You got all the
slope
swim
areas.
ups,
So that was what we had predicted
there
based
too.
on
Yeah.
the bathymetry and from the
Definitely,
backscatter, meaning
When this happens, the
how
priority is getting
intense the
the vehicles in
sonar
configuration.
signal was
Yeah, heat
returned.
turn,
It
zero
reflects
turn,
off
get-
the
finish-
hard
Get
ground.
into tow, get up
So
off bottom
from
a little bit,
backscatter
get
analysis, you
comfortable,
can
and then we can worry
identify potential
stowing
hard
the
ground
swing arms and
areas.
stuff.
So we
Okay.
looked for slope and hard ground in our maps and decided on this site, and we lucked out. It worked out. On the low backscatter flat areas, we saw sparse communities, and
It's like we
I'm
didn't
sure
move
there's a
over
lot
ground
we
now,
didn't
right?
see beneath the sediments.
Yeah, we did.
But as soon as we encountered
Nav
rock
station.
outcrop and slope combined, we saw a very abundant community of sponges and corals and many other organisms. So, as Cheryl said, that's the ground truthing. As Cheryl said, that's the ground truthing. We
about
see it
70
and
meters from
verified that
where we
At
came
least
off
in this
bottom,
area,
so
it
we'll
was a
move back
good
toward that
indicator of
position.
where the coral habitat might be.
Wilco, thanks. All right.
So, in summary of the
So,
collections that
Bobby
we
wants
made,
to
Cheryl, which organisms did
Get
we
us
end
back
up
into
collecting?
position, holding
You
the
could
vehicles
tell
at
us.
50.
We collected
so the
the
ship
most
drifted-
dominant sponge type
Well,
that was
I'd
down
say this
here.
way, from the ship back to where we
Possibly a
came off bottom,
Phycalia.
or where the ship was when we
We
came off
also
bottom.
collected
So it's 70
a
meters at
Paragorgia
020.
octocoral.
So I could do that.
It might be one
And
that's
it looks
known,
like you're
but
starting
we
to drift
weren't
toward
sure.
the west.
Yeah.
So that's a
Um,
good ground truth of that species.
The wire
being
looks
here.
okay right
That
now.
have a common name? That
Yeah,
we
we
might
did.
have-
So-
is that the bubble
Yeah,
gum?
it's
If I
a
start
bubble
doing
gum.
beautiful
that,
pink
you'll
bubble
keep
gum coral
coming
that we
around
saw.
counterclockwise.
And that was also
know,
identified in the Gulf of
and
Mexico.
you might not
I
even
remember
move
seeing
much
that quite often.
because of the
in
delay
those
here.
Curious
videos.
why we're not.
And then there's
closer to the
another
ship.
species of Paragorgia that we'll probably see when we get to the canyons
Well, if we
dives
lost
off
propulsion,
of North Carolina, and that's
5 minutes ago, we
Paragorgia
might
arborea.
just now
That
feeling the
species
pull
gets larger
because of
and
Something
kind of
is
has
delay,
more
Yeah.
Bridge, this is RV Nav.
fatter
RV Nav Bridge.
arms.
Hi,
So
we'd like a
it's quite
position
different
move,
looking
please.
than the species that we
We'd
saw
like
today.
70 meters, that's 70 meters.
So we
Bearing
made 2
020
biological samples. We hope to
at
make
speed,
more. We hope we can get
decimal
back
3
on
if you can
the
do
bottom.
it, if you're comfortable.
We also made a rock collection.
RV
We
Nav
made
Bridge.
more than one
70
attempt.
meters.
We started off with the first
020 at
rocks encountered at the
3
base of
knots.
this
Over.
That's
short, low-angle slope. And every attempt, we completely crushed and disintegrated the rock just because it's not very well cemented. And we learned that the dark black to brownish red coating or color to it is a coating on the outside, and the inside of the rock looks very much like the surrounding sediments. But we were unable to collect that rock. So then we continued on, and just before we had to come off the bottom, we had a very successful large rock sample collection. It may well be the same kind of rock we attempted, but this one at least held together, and we successfully put it in the bioduct.
You want to check something for me, Levi, real quick?
Yeah.
You want to just tilt your camera down? Just curious, like, if that still cam is beyond. Oh, so that's about perfect positioning, right?
Yeah.
ROV Nav Bridge. Move commenced. Over.
Copy, Bridge. Thanks.
Oh yes, and one more exciting thing that we saw today that I think was a first for many, all of us on the ship for sure, but many on the chat room as well,
Yeah,
was
so now
the
you guys
brittle
are feeling
star
that
that was
tug.
swimming through off the
Keeps
bottom in the
moving
water
toward the
column,
south.
There we
and it was
But we'll
really
start bringing
interesting
it
to
back.
see how
Okay.
good of a swimmer it was.
It was doing a fantastic breaststroke,
Yes, it was.
and
And I
using
liked-
its 5th appendage as a rudder.
Yeah, that analogy was really, really interesting.
Andy, do you know how to get Zero's heading piped into HIPAC?
Yeah, it's a cable and compass.
Because I think I unchecked course over ground, and it seems to just be locked in at like due north, right?
Yeah, it is right now.
It is right now, yeah, I don't know.
It was working last cruise.
Yeah. Could be a number of things.
Okay.
And going back to the soft sediment where we began the dive, we also saw a fair number of